Hello, everyone. I am Lainey Carter, your Vice President of College Advancement. I'm also the proud Executive Director of the HACC Foundation. I will discuss my professional pathway to my current position very briefly. I earned a bachelor's and master's degree from Virginia Commonwealth University. I earned my APR designation, and you probably have seen this in my email signature for years. It stands for Accredited in Public Relations. It is true, I am a PR diva. I earned my PhD in Community College Leadership from Old Dominion University, also in Virginia. I started my own firm in May 2008. I have served 2 four-year schools, VCU, one of my alma maters, and a premier HBCU in North Carolina A&T State University, where I was an assistant professor of public relations. I have served 4 beloved community colleges in my career, 2 in Virginia, 1 in North Carolina, and HACC. I've been at HACC for 10 years. I married the love of my life, and there he is. We celebrated 25 years of marriage last year. We'll be 26 years in July. And I went the CBC route, childless by choice. My professional and personal success are largely due to the 3 people I love the most in the world. These are the 3 people pictured in the slide: my mama, my daddy, and my husband of almost 26 years. I will now give advice to Black professionals and other professionals of color on how to move up the ranks professionally. Number 1, take advantage of opportunities that are mutually beneficial to you professionally and/or personally. These include committee, task force, or work group assignments and professional association commitments. If they're not mutually beneficial, turn them down. Number 2, get as much education and training as possible, free or at little cost to you. HACC has amazing educational benefits, so there is absolutely no reason to not take full advantage of them. Number 3, identify a high-performing leader at HACC to learn from, even if that person is not in your division. For example, if you want to learn how to gain fundraising experience and you're not part of my team, that's okay. Reach out to me anyway. I can help you. Number 4, develop multiple sources of income outside of HACC. People will pay you for your expertise and experience. Let them. Number 5, do not tell people at HACC your business. Too many of them are working against you and jealous of you. Number 6, apply for promotions at HACC, even if you do not have all of the experience that they are seeking. Chances are the person who vacated the position did not have all the experience either. If they can do the job, chances are you can too. Finally, I will give advice to Black professionals and other professionals of color on how to navigate whiteness in professional spaces. Number 1, fight against imposter syndrome. HACC belongs to all of us. You are not an outsider. Do not allow racists and white supremacists to other you. Number 2, do not center whiteness as a professional or personal standard. It is not the bar for you to achieve. Most of us were raised by parents who expected us to exemplify excellence and not perfection. Lean into your upbringing and your Black excellence. It is enough and you are enough. Number 3, protect your peace against racists and white supremacists. Document them. When a pattern of hostility, aggression, and hatred develops, work with your supervisor in HACC and HR to get them fired. Number 4, find your people at HACC. Allow them to lift you up and love you up when you are down and need some encouragement. Number 5, identify the white allies, advocates, and accomplices. Allow them to take up the mantle of fighting racism and white supremacy. Black people and other people of color did not create racism and white supremacy. And last but not least, do not allow racist, white supremacists, self-hating Black people and self-hating people of color to pit you against other Black people and other people of color. That happens way too often at HACC. Fight against it and expose it. I hope this information was helpful. Thank you for the opportunity. Now I turn it over to my sister VP.
Thank you, Dr. Carter. Greetings, colleagues. I have to state this, that my personal and professional journeys have been a winding road, and they still are. But I'm proud of those steps because they're my journey. I like to ask, when people ask me, how did you get where you are? I always have to go back to where I started. And see, my professional journey in higher education started out behind the scenes. I started out as a data entry clerk in student affairs at a local community and technical college, really out of necessity because of being produced by a single teenage mother. And my mom was there to help us get all the things we needed, but I had to have a job, and I had to have a job that paid decent wage and also allowed me space to go to school. So in my role as a data entry clerk, I specifically worked in the outreach and recruitment office. And behind the scenes, every day I would go in and I would process hundreds of inquiry cards from the field reps. And what I started to do is I started to notice patterns. And so I started to do the research on these specific patterns in regards to the data. Then I began to look at the business processes and I thought, okay, these could be strengthened. So I literally wrote down what I saw and the potential solutions. And I took that information to my boss, who happened to be the only female dean in the entire school, but she was always supportive. At that meeting, I went over what I had learned to date, my observations on the business process, and potential solutions to improve efficiencies. She looked at me and she was like, thank you. And I thought for sure I was fired. I was like, oh man, I can't lose this job. But what she said instead was, I want to move you to a different position. I see you have this skill set, this talent, this ability, and I need you over here. However, I also need you to be the supervisor of the clerks and continue to do that work. And before I could even really think about it, I said yes. And I went in there just to really improve the lives of students in the college, and I came out with a promotion. But what I've come to realize in all of that is the importance of speaking up, number one. 2 is being my authentic self. 3 is knowing my craft. And 4, the invaluable role of mentors and mentorship. That opportunity actually changed my career trajectory, because in that moment, I realized the strengths and the purpose, and that all became very clear to me and why I need to do what I need to do. I've spent the last 25 years working in higher education, specifically community and technical colleges, because I feel like I belong there. I've worked in a variety of positions, from coordinator to advisor, a dean, a vice president. And I share my story of how I actually got to where I am because it's a great reminder to myself, but it's also to let people know that I did not just magically become a VP. And regardless of the title I hold or will hold in the future, I know that I must always remain true to my purpose, and that is serving others and completing my assignment. So my advice to Black professionals, other professionals of color, moving up the ranks, but also navigating white spaces, and how I've learned that working in majority white spaces, and that is 1, be on purpose, on purpose. And what I mean by that is be very intentional and strategic. Know what you're doing, know why you're doing it, and study your craft. Know your profession. And I've realized growing up through the profession that sometimes people don't know the craft. They don't know the theory, they don't know the practice, but they want to be promoted. Say yes when it's an opportunity for you. As Dr. Carter mentioned, you want to make sure that it's mutually beneficial and you are identifying the ways in which it will help you grow and stretch as a professional. So if someone asks you to lead a team and it's mutually beneficial, say yes. Especially for my women of color, we often overthink or we disqualify ourselves because we're looking at all the things that we don't have. I would say lean into all the things you do have and make that more than enough. My third point would be take up space and make up space. That's okay. You need to take up space and you need to make room for other professionals of color. It's okay to say no or say, I know someone who can do this. Give me a moment. Because the opportunity to network and help build social and professional capital for someone else is the true beauty of what we do and why we do it. Be an advocate for yourself and be an advocate for others. Last but not least, I would definitely say keep the faith and know that you have mentors and sponsors all around you, even in those dark places, even in those white spaces where it does not make sense. There are people who are rooting for you, people who are advocating for you at the table in which you are not at. And don't be afraid to ask for mentors and also sponsors. Thank you very much. And I'm going to turn it over to my brother, Al Griswold. Dr. Griswold. We can't. Brother Al, you on mute. Unmute yourself.
Sorry, I just started talking. I was so happy to join in. Greetings, I am Al, or Dr. G, your Vice President of Academic Affairs. I'm excited about this opportunity to share my story. It's one of endurance, faith, and achievement. I credit my success to both of my parents, who you see here on the screen, but primarily to my mother. It's important that you know I am the youngest of 7. That's a picture of me at 7 years old. It's important to know that I lost my father at 7 years old. That's important because the foundation that was established by my father as a provider, a protector, and leader would be the focus of my life journey. I saw my mother work tirelessly for the next 11 years until I became an 18-year-old. It was this struggle in America that prompted me and her encouragement to fulfill my objectives and dreams. So it was important for me to succeed, to give back to my mother. My educational journey started at the University of Kansas, where I had a full athletic scholarship, but I didn't stay due to my feeling of loneliness at a predominantly white institution. Even though I was on the football scholarship, I didn't feel a sense of belonging. That's a word that many of our students today feel. So I returned home and my mother said, you must go to college or to the military. I chose college, which led me to the College of the Desert in Palm Desert, California, where I excelled in the classroom as well as in athletics. I was able to receive another full scholarship to Oregon State University, where I majored in psychology and sociology with a concentration in psychological health. I have my master's degree from organizational management from the University of Phoenix, and then my doctorate degree in higher education with an emphasis in organizational leadership from Northeastern University. How did I get here today? I did an internship during my junior and senior year of college as a means to identify my interests. One that my college career advisor suggested that I do, because I had attended a community college as a youth. During that time, I didn't know what an informational interview was, and I visited Lane Community College in Eugene, Oregon, and Lynn Benton Community College right outside of Corvallis, Oregon. And then finally, Chemeketa Community College, where I visited the career development department there. I spoke with employers. In Chemeketa Community College, director of career advising hired me, created a job for me. That's how I got on this journey, my professional journey. I was an educational planner where I led new student orientation, taught career development and first-year seminar courses, and planned student educational journeys during my time at Chemeketa. I gained knowledge in correctional education, professional and technical. I developed articulation agreements between community college and K through 12. I have experience in both student and academic affairs, such as advising financial aid, admissions, and career development. On the academic affairs side, I've done curriculum development, program development at the certificate level, the AA level, and the Bachelor of Applied Science level. I've conducted program assessment, program closure, strategic planning, program accreditations at the regional level, as well as at the program level. My journey includes stops as program coordinators, assistant deans, associate dean, executive dean, a senior vice president, and executive vice president provost. I've worked at two-year colleges in Oregon, two-year colleges in Oregon, 5 community colleges in Washington, 1 in the state of Texas, and now here at HAC. Now I will give advice for Black professionals and others professionals of color who are trying to navigate these complex waters of being in white spaces. First, develop yourself. You must develop yourself professionally. Seek learning always. Read, join associations, gain the necessary educational credential. Listen with the intent to understand and learn. Seek the right mentor and don't be afraid to transition in order to follow your passion. Now, navigating white spaces. Be prepared to be stereotyped and ostracized or other. Continue to learn while others are asleep. Get wisdom through understanding emotional maturity as many lacks it. Build allies that are meaningful but not harmful. Don't be afraid to move. Mentor. Build another table if necessary. Have a healthy sense of who you are. Now I will transition it over to my sister VP, Dr. Hinton.
Greetings, everyone. Thank you. It's really quite a pleasure to be in such esteemed company. I am very grateful to have such wonderful colleagues. So mine was a pretty circuitous route to HACC, but one that created an interesting path that has prepared me in some very unique ways. So music figures very prominently in my growth and development as a leader and in my education. So first I started off at Alabama State University. I'm third generation. My grandmother graduated there from Alabama State. It was called State Normal Teachers College. My parents met and married there as well and graduated from there. My father with a master's in mathematics. And then all of the children, with the exception of one turncoat who went to Tuskegee. So from there, I went on to Chicago Musical College, which is Roosevelt University. It's their conservatory. And from there, I discovered that I was kind of interested in traveling. And so I married a man who was a musician at Northwestern, and off we went to Europe, where I was a music teacher. And I taught at an international school, and he was at the John F. Kennedy Schule. And I have to tell you, it was some of the richest moments of my life, and I truly enjoyed my time there. As I said, music figured very prominently, but I didn't stop there. I was always interested in music therapy. Couldn't find a program like that, so I did whilst I was in England. I secured a degree in psychotherapy and was qualified as a psychotherapist in England. I continued to work in England in music, and I was on some boards. And then I became a cultural hub manager for the town of Telford and Wrekin. Telford and Wrekin is the place where the first iron bridge was built in England, the birthplace of the Industrial Revolution. It was very interesting to be the cultural hub manager there, but shortly after we'd settled in for a couple of years, the reason for the picture there of my husband, my favorite conductor, is because in one dark night, I got a plane and came to Selinsgrove, Pennsylvania. So anyway, as I said, music has always been very important. When I get a little frustrated through the day, some people do know this about me, I'll go play piano. Movement Perpetuals is the piece that I was learning at the time that my sister VP mentioned this. So I thought, what better way to express who I am and a little bit of my journey to HACC. So after spending about 15 years in Germany and England, I believe that I'm truly prepared in some of the most unique ways to lead, because one of the things about music is that it includes everybody. I know most people think, well, some people who have hearing difficulties and things of that nature cannot participate, but I beg to differ. I've actually taught students who had hearing impairments music. There are wonderful ways in which they can participate. So when I talk about inclusion and diversity, I mean it universally. I truly do. So regarding any advice, I like to think about some of the jobs that I've had and how I've had to navigate. And I pull from that any advice that I might want to give. When I was at Allegheny College, I mean, before coming to HAC, of course, I was at other colleges in the United States. One was Susquehanna, another was Allegheny. And at Allegheny, I was Associate Dean of the college and Chair of Black Studies. And the advice that my two former or the three former VPs have given to you all resonates with the opportunity that I had at that time to take the job that was mutually beneficial to both of us. It's very interesting. I was able to lend my passion and marry it with my leadership to actually get that department accredited. So I have to say, sometimes these opportunities come and you don't necessarily know that you're prepared for them. But I have to say that if I think back and reflect on what my VPs have said, that was one of my opportunities, and it's something that I actually have valued. So regarding any other advice I'd like to give you, Dr. Chrissy has already said it, but be authentic, be your whole self. I know that there will be opportunities for us to talk about this further, but I have always had the experience that sometimes you're faced with, do you need to shrink to fit? And I need you to think about how you resist the urge to do exactly that. Never shrink to fit, because the only person that loses is you. You don't need to make yourself smaller for other people to shine. And you should always be confident that as you shine and grow, you help others blossom and shine as well. The last thing I will leave you with is something I learned a couple of weeks ago. I was speaking to a colleague who left me with these kind of gems, I believe. He was talking about his journey to the presidency. And one of the things that he's learned is that he must always think about these three things: experience, education, and exposure. And I had to think about that for a second. I thought, okay, that makes sense though. I want to say it again: experience, education, and exposure. If you embrace those things and also remember not to shrink to fit, I really think that, I know the journey might be difficult, especially as young professionals, especially in predominantly white spaces, and that's for any person of difference. You may struggle, but never shrink to fit, and always keep in front of you experience, education, and exposure. And now I will turn it over to my brother, Vic Rogers.
Thank you, Dr. Hinton. And it's an honor and a pleasure to follow really these steps from such terrific people and to be part of this team. So my journey is not nearly as interesting, I don't think, but I was born in Brooklyn, New York. My grandfather had a tobacco farm in North Carolina. So by the time I was 7, because we'd go there every summer, I knew how to drive a John Deere tractor. So that's been one of my greatest accomplishments. We eventually moved there, and I had the choice of either going to college or going into the military, like Dr. Griswold. I chose the military because I just wanted to see what was over the horizon. So I was fortunate enough to be a United States Navy chief for over 20 years. I got to live in some strange places, see some strange and different things, and it's really kind of rounded out my life as I moved forward. I continued to get education throughout that process, getting my associates, then my bachelor's, and then getting 2 master's degrees, because my mother, who you see there on the left, always told me, son, in the world we live in, you have to be twice as good. Therefore, my 2 masters is what I accomplished. And those pictures there are of my wonderful mother, who passed away a couple of years ago, my father, my youngest son, and my youngest grandson. So thank goodness they all are better looking than I am, but that's okay. So I got out of the Navy and went right into workforce development. As Dr. Ski is fond of saying, workforce development is nothing more than creative problem solving. And let me tell you, 20 plus years in the Navy or in any military branch, you get very creative in solving problems because there is no excuse, right? So after that, Doing a few years in workforce development, my wife and I relocated back to Guam, where her family is from, and I got into the college life. So I don't have the college background in terms of number of years as some of my colleagues, but it is a enriching environment for the work that we're allowed to do. So I was able to be at Guam Community College for a few years, and then I transitioned to HAC about 7.5 years ago. And I keep telling Dr. Ski, I'm still a newbie. He doesn't accept it, but that's okay. So what would I say really to my colleagues about navigating space that hasn't already been said? And it's almost impossible because you receive such great advice, but really the being authentic part is the part that resonates with me so much, because you're going to be pressured. You're going to walk into spaces where it doesn't seem like you fit, right? And the temptation is to, as Dr. Hinton said, make yourself smaller or not be your genuine self. And you've got to resist that, because at some point, your genuine self will show itself. And then you'll either be applauded for standing up for yourself or looked at as, wow, this wasn't the person we thought he was, right? So always be authentic, okay? And always keep this in mind too. How others see you is their business, right? You have got to be yourself, right? With all your flaws, because you're going to grow that way, right? Being inauthentic to make someone else happy will never be a mark of a real person, right? So that's really my advice to you. And my last little bit, reach out to those who are in the space with you, right? I told a story earlier today. We were down in Midtown 1, and I got out of my car one day and there was a man leaning against the wall smoking. And we had just instituted a we can't smoke policy. Dr. Ski remembers when we started that on our campus spaces. And I reminded the gentleman that he couldn't smoke. And he got very upset. And I said, hey, look, brother. And the minute I said that, his mood changed. He straightened up a little bit. And he responded back to me, hey, thanks for letting me know, right? Reach out to those people, right, who you can reach out to. Again, being genuine, being authentic, being yourself, right? You only get one time through this life, right? Be the absolute best you can be on that journey. So Dr. Ski,